Hello and welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Levi with Mailbox Money here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And today's guest is Kip Knippel. Kip is the president and CEO of Kip Search, one of the nation's premier executive search firms specializing in C-suite and senior leadership recruiting. Through his work, Kip helps private equity firms, venture capital groups, family offices, and growth-oriented companies identify transformational leaders who drive enterprise value and long-term success. Kip, thanks for joining us today, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm honored to be on the show. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I like to give you a little breathing room here at the beginning for people to get to know you kind of personally, where you coming from, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, born and raised, as we talked about before we started recording in Minnesota in the Twin Cities, married, three kids. Our oldest just graduated college. Our middle one just finished his sophomore year of college, and our youngest just finished high school. So we'll be empty nesters this fall. So excited for this next chapter of life.
No kidding. That's a big change.
Yes, indeed.
You got big plans for when they've all flown the coop?
Yeah, I mean, again, being in Minnesota, a lot of winters over the years, so plan to get somewhere warm this winter and escape it a little bit more. So yeah, super excited for that.
Good for you, man. That's awesome to hear. So, how about giving us the background? What is I kind of broke down a little bit what Kip Search is, but where did it come from, the idea, and take us back to the beginning of it.
Yeah, I mean, so out of college, went to law school, practiced corporate M&A, commercial real estate, transactional law, so buying and selling companies, buying and selling real estate. And then spent a number of years at CB Richard Ellis, big commercial real estate company, really doing corporate real estate, so representing companies doing their real estate. So mostly negotiating leases, buying and selling buildings if a company owned it for their own operations. And through that, met some people in the executive search business, a bunch of different groups, really to refer business back and forth. And then one group recruited me for about a year to come join them. And then I did, and just turned around to my CBRE clients. And instead of doing real estate, started doing executive search locally and around the country. And then, kind of wised up, then launched my own firm. And we've grown it from there. We've been off and running. And yeah, so I mean, as you had mentioned, our clients include private equity, venture capital, family offices and their portfolio companies, private companies, public companies of all shapes and sizes. But the common thread is C-level executive leadership as far as the types of recruiting that we do. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Get to learn about all sorts of different businesses and how people, started and grown and scaled them. And, lots of entrepreneurs and how they just took an idea and saw an opportunity and created a business around it, as well as all the candidates and leaders we deal with. And you really get to hear people's life stories and impact them in a meaningful way, both in fulfillment of their career and their families and legacy and happiness and fulfillment in life. So I just can't think of a better thing to do for work. It's so much fun.
It's amazing. So basically, you took something that making connections with people and turn it into a business. Basically, that's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, totally. In fact, like when I was a kid, we used to, go on spring breaks for vacations, and I used to like go in like all the stores and like grab people's business cards and like just collect them almost like baseball cards. I had like,
Did you have a
like
binder?
I mean, I just had like huge boxes. Like if you bought like, like if you got like 1,000 business cards, like order for your business, like the box it would come in, I had a couple of those
Yep.
boxes. I would just fill them up with the business cards from all the different businesses that I would,
That's
pop my
awesome.
head into. So, I mean, I don't know. I've
What's your
always loved
opinion
mail.
on
Go ahead.
nowadays? What's your opinion on business cards? Are you still a business card man, or do you prefer some other kind of medium?
I mean, it's funny. I mean, I still have them in case we need them, but I also have like a digital one where people can scan a
Yep.
QR code and it gives them all my socials and all my contact info. But really, LinkedIn is normally, I just tell people because it's so Kip Knippel, like my name is on all the socials, like that's where you can find me. So I usually, connect with people on LinkedIn and go from there. But if people, we still have all sorts of generations in the workplace. So some people like physical business cards, some people like the scanning the thing. Usually just connecting on LinkedIn is probably the easiest way for most
Yep.
people.
Easiest and probably my favorite because yeah,
Yes,
interactive medium is always the best.
totally. 100%.
Awesome. Well, Kip, would you mind kind of walking us through what it looks like working with you guys, the kind of problems you help solve, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, again, most of it is C-level executives, so CEOs, CFOs, COOs, now chief AI officers. I mean, usually it's comes in all shapes and sizes. Maybe it's a company that's growing and they're hiring their first CFO, or it's a founder that's, scaled their business and now they need their first like professional CEO to run the business. Or again, with private equity or venture capital, they want to plug in executive leaders, or, someone's retiring and it's a replacement, or again, a brand new role, a replacement role. Um, but typically, those key critical roles that maybe our clients have huge HR teams that do most of the recruiting and hiring for them, but those key critical roles that either it's above HR, so they're not really going to have someone, CHRO recruit for their boss or someone
Mm,
that they're going to report to. Or in the case of a CEO, it's really the board of the company usually running the search and engaging us, or it's just a key critical role and all the hundreds of roles the internal team might be working on. The roles we work on just take too much time and too much effort that they just can't dedicate the time to that. So then those are the roles they engage us on.
very nice. Are you working with companies of pretty much all shapes and sizes, or is there some niche that you like to be in, or what
Yeah,
does that look like?
it's really startups all the way up to Fortune 10s, and everything in between. But I would say our ideal clients, the ones we really like to work with, it doesn't matter how much revenue they have or how many people they have, but just where we're dealing with the owner of the business, or the founder or CEO, or if they're a little bit bigger, maybe CFO, but like just where they view us as like a trusted advisor. Whenever I hear
Mhm.
vendor from a prospective client, I'm like, yeah, that's not what we want. Like, that's not the relationship we want. We want to be trusted advisors and really be and adding value to you. Um, so again, so typically, again, no matter how big they are, we're dealing with the board or the CEO or the founder or the PE firm or VC firm or family office that owns them.
For for a company on the smaller side that is probably about to break through to needing that full C-suite of leadership, is there kind of tips that you give for how they should evaluate if they are ready to make that step or not?
Yeah, I mean, another way to kind of slice this all is like we run our firm on EOS or the book Traction, if your listeners have heard of that. And so we have a lot of EOS clients or companies that are running on EOS. And part of that is just in that language, there's like the visionary that's usually the founder, the big idea, coming up with all sorts of crazy idea type of person. And then there's an integrator, which is again, an EOS term, but usually that's the president of the company or the chief operating officer, the person that really will, take all the crazy ideas that the visionary has and then say, okay, let's prioritize those. Let's figure out which ones we can actually do and in what order, and then actually make it happen. And usually with founders, they sit in both those seats, but really ultimately they get excited and fired up and energized by one or the other. Usually it's the visionary seat, so a lot of times we're doing the integrator search is like the first role. Again, it
Yep.
might be a president for them or a COO, and if and they might not be working on EOS, but like it's that, person that likes process and procedures and putting systems in place. A lot of times we're doing that role as the first one for them when they're just growing to the point that like the only way to scale a business is to put systems in place and then scale. So a lot of times we're doing that, or a lot of times similarly for a founder, CFO is like the first search they need, outside of their skill sets, because usually founders come more of with a sales background or a technology background, and they're not like a finance person, or they
Yep.
just don't love doing that. So like we need to hire
Yeah.
a professional person to do that. So I mean, it comes in all different shapes and sizes.
When you're looking at leaders, what are some traits and some different personalities that you're looking for that separate the good ones out?
Yeah. I mean, we spend a lot of time on the front end with our clients, really understanding their business, their culture, the core values, what's the story of the business, because we want to be like an extension of their brand, telling their story to the marketplace. But ultimately, there's a lot of people have the skill set to do a certain job, but we really want to make sure we're finding people that align with them culturally, core value wise, and then when you get to the best of the best, I mean, A players, it becomes more about compensation. They just want to work on something really cool, something disruptive, something innovative, something that challenges them and pushes them outside the bounds of what they've done before. So again, if A players hire A players and B players hire C players. So if you're really trying to get an A player, whatever the role is, you want to craft it in a way and have the role be in a way that it really is a stretch for them and exciting for them and something that they can
Hmm.
come in and, expand in their career. Maybe it's coming into a whole different industry and like that's the opportunity. Or, it has to be a compelling story to get those, the best of the best really excited and what do you have going?
What have you been kind of seeing in the industry that's maybe changed over the last couple of years? Obviously, AI getting more and more introduced. Has that been something helpful for you guys or not as beneficial?
Yeah. I mean, AI is helpful. I mean, at this stage of the game, for lower level roles, I mean, we've always been a firm that we've tried to be on, the cutting edge of technology and leverage it and use it as a tool, but not, how do we balance that with, we don't want to lose the human connection and just the humanness in the work that we do, especially with high level executives. You can't have AI go find your next CEO. It's very relationship driven and human and high touch and white glove. And there's all the different terms to describe it. So how do we leverage technology in a way to make us more effective, more efficient, but not lose that human touch? But AI, we see that really creeping in kind of lower level roles or like mass hiring, which is not what we do. We're, kind of the key critical roles. A company might, you hear about these massive companies that are letting, 1,000 people go or whatever. But at the same time, they're hiring their next chief technology officer, their new CFO. Like that's the kind of stuff we work on.
Hmm.
But things have really changed since, the government lockdown during COVID, where people were just going through a lot of change in their life. Maybe they're moving to a different state, because everyone's working remote. We've just found that people since then, have been much more open to conversations of new opportunities. If nothing else, maybe then they've been a CFO in a company for 10 years and they love it and it's going well, but they just, maybe for the next chapter of their life, they just want to try something new and be at a different company, a different industry. So people are just much more open to conversations about different opportunities really ever since then, because people made such massive change that
Yeah.
just kind of opened their minds up to, what other changes could be interesting.
So is a large part of your guys' role is to kind of facilitate that connection. Are you guys a part of like in-person meetups or anything like that? Or is it all pretty much online, kind of just making the connection and then going back from there?
You mean as far as just like our process and
Yeah,
executing a
yeah.
executive search?
Your process, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, prior to government lockdown stuff, we used to always physically go to our clients,
Hmm.
and just like feel the culture, breathe it in at their office. Um, and really since then, companies have been like, well, you don't have to come and visit us to do it. And they're like, no, we want to. Like, we will pay to come and, physically be there. And
Yeah,
more and more companies don't want that. So I mean, again, we'll do whatever our clients want, but we'd prefer to like physically come. But then when we're actually executing the search, um, again, it depends on what the client wants. I mean, it's a lot of telephone calls and Zooms and and part of our process is our client or our candidates fill out a pretty extensive candidate questionnaire that really delves into them again, personally, professionally, culture fit wise. Why are they interested in our client company? Why are they interested in the specific role we're working on? And any other questions our clients want to ask them. So they kind of fill that out. And then we spend a lot of time, again, over Zoom, in person, telephone, whatever is appropriate, to really answer their questions after they've gone through this questionnaire. And then we have some of our own. So ultimately, when we present candidates to our clients, which includes physically giving them the questionnaire, they really understand all the candidates personally, professionally, culture fit wise. Again, all this, like, why are they interested? What makes them an A player? How do they communicate in written words? I mean,
Hmm.
so much, um, such a deep look at the candidates before they even decide who they want to interview. And then of course, help facilitate the actual interview process within our
Yeah.
client. But usually, we'll present the top 4 to 6 candidates to our clients. Again, if we don't narrow it down to the top 6, we're not adding the most value in our clients' time in doing interviews. And on the flip side, if we can't find 4 absolute A player rock stars, we don't think we're doing our job either. But all those people are A players. They've got the skills, their core value, culture fits, but it just makes our clients' interview process a lot easier. And that really their interviews are, who really is the best culture fit, the best core value fit, the best personality fit, who they're going to work with. So it just makes that internal interview process, once they finally get to our clients, a lot easier and a lot more straightforward for them.
Would there be a piece of advice that you could give our listeners, someone who's a younger professional that their end goal is to be, an executive in a company? What are some skills or habits that they should be developing from the get-go to help them grow in their career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, a couple. One is like, and this might be more relevant to like people fresh out of college or grad school or whatever, when they're kind of going to their first jobs.
Hmm.
Try to get close to like the person that you want to be. So like, maybe your first role is to be the assistant to the CEO of like whatever company it is or industry. So number one, you have proximity. So like they bring you in all their meetings. And so you get to hear and see the deals get done and hear what's going on in their mindset. And I always give the example of like Gary Vee or Gary Vaynerchuk, if you're familiar with who he is. But like a lot of the people that are running his companies, like V Friends and some of the others, were his assistant. But like they built trust with him. They got to like understand how V Friends got created. And like now the president is again, was the assistant, is now running that company. So I mean that's an opportunity, but also it gives you a chance to see, is this really something I want to do? By having I'm gonna potentially spend all this time working up to be like Joe Smith here. Do I really want to be Joe Smith? So
Hmm.
it gives you a
It's a
good
good way
view
to
into
learn
like
if
what
that's what
that's
you want to
like.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're young, I mean, try a bunch of different things and, taste a lot of different industries and roles and, to see what you like. But then ultimately, as you're getting more established, I always say like, start doing the job that's next before you're getting paid for it, before you're hired for it. Like add the value. Like if you're a controller, try to do as much CFO stuff as you can within your company so that you're just the natural selection to be the CFO. Like, don't wait till you're hired and paid to do that. Just start adding that value and doing that before you're even asked to. And like, that's how you'll just advance so quickly in your career through a company, is just starting to add value and do those things before you're even asked to do them.
That's a fantastic piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, those are the best people. I mean, they it's trans, and people that are waiting around to being asked to do it and get paid to do it. I'm sorry, you're never going to get that
You're
role.
usually waiting, like you said,
Yeah.
you're waiting and you're waiting, where if you go and get it, it happens a lot sooner.
Yeah. And then you're also taking like ownership over like, I have control over my life and my career, and I'm going to add value and do what it takes before I'm asked to do it, rather than, I'm just, someone else is in control of my career. I'm just going to wait till I get the nod, if I ever get the nod. Just there's something about taking the mindset of taking ownership of your life and your career in your own hands and making it happen, like willing it to happen. And just so many more opportunities present themselves. You never know. I mean, maybe you thought you want to be the CFO, but like something else shows up and you have a chance to pivot and go over here. But like, had you not been adding this value and doing this, that opportunity would have never shown up.
So, Kip, you also do your own podcast, correct?
Mhm.
I
Yes.
believe it's the Capitalist Culture Podcast.
Yes, correct.
What kind of things do you guys talk about over there?
Yeah, so the most of the guests on the show are leaders in private equity firms, venture capital firms, family offices, or like founder CEOs of, kind of hyper growth companies. And the conversation, it's really letting our guests tell their story, but it really revolves around, growing and scaling businesses, investment philosophy, how you see opportunities, successes you've had, failures you've had, and then a lot about leadership and building culture and core values in your organization. And then, with it being called capitalist culture, I mean, ultimately, you know, how has living in a free market capitalist society benefited you in
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're doing? Um, so yeah, they're awesome conversations. I mean, it's like this, it's an interview show. And then I've had some other kind of outliers. I had Maria Bartiromo from Fox on. So she was awesome. She was actually the first person to report live from the New York Stock Exchange, like when I was growing up, and
That's pretty
helped really,
cool.
yeah, and she really helped build CNBC and had like, you know, the show before the bell, the show after the bell. And then when she left CNBC and came over to Fox, she really built out Fox Business and was part of like the founding of that. And now she does a lot more kind of, you know, um, still business, but also like, like security, like national security types of issues. And so she was
Yeah,
awesome. And then I had like the head of AI and machine learning from Amazon, a lot of blockchain people, Web3, because I'm super interested in that. And um, it's a lot of fun. But most of it's private equity, venture capital, family offices. But, some interesting other people that are of interest to me personally, and I hope interesting to the audience too.
that's very fun. Well, if anyone wants to give a listen to your show or find more about Kip Search or reach out to you guys for your services, where would you send them for both things?
Yeah, so for Kip Search, our website is kipsearch.com. And kipsearch.com. And
For
just
those
like,
watching right above his head.
yeah, right. Yeah, it's right. It's right above me. And then also on all the socials, it's Kip Search. So on all the socials, you just search Kip Search and you'll find us. Similarly with Kip Knippel, my name, and Knippel is EL. On all the socials, you can find me there. And then Capitalist Culture, our website for the show is capitalistculture.com. But also if you look on all the socials and look up Capitalist Culture, you can find us. Um, yeah, and it's the long form videos on YouTube, and then the audio is on every podcast platform there is. And then my team will crank out 1 minute shorts or reels on all the different socials for us too. But Kip Search has its own social page on all the platforms. Capitalist Culture has its own social page on all the platforms. Um, so yeah, so I try to keep it super simple. There's like my name, Kip
I love
Search,
it.
Capitalist Culture, and then you can just chat GPT it or whatever your favorite AI or even
AI
or even
search.
old school Google it. You can find us.
Yeah, isn't that funny that it used
Yes.
to always just be just Google it, and now yeah, now more people are looking up AI ways and all that stuff. So
Yeah, totally.
cool, man. Well, again, we appreciate you for coming on, sharing the insights of what you're doing and how you do it. And I think our audience will get a lot of value out of it because, like I said, if they're not already there, they're aspiring for those executive level positions. So thanks again, Kip, for your time.
No, for sure. I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, and if I can add value to any of your listeners or even to you, I mean, feel free to reach out anytime. Always want to help and add value.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone, for listening. See you guys on the next one.